Look at this gorgeous high number 292 in a near mint 7. What's going on? Bowman 1951 here. If you are new to my channel, and I think I have a little over 200 subscribers over the last month or so, thank you all for joining. This is the reason everything got started. What we have out in front of you are 10 additions to the Bowman 1951 PSA graded set I've been building ever since I started this channel over 4 years ago. That's where my name comes from. The adventure side goes to, the card shop, card show, trips that I like to go on, but this is the core of it. So anybody that's into vintage, you're going to see a lot of, different names here you're probably not too familiar with, but I've got to build that whole set out. We are approaching, I think, a little over 35% here. Let's pull up the graphic from the PSA set registry. My goal is probably to get to about 50% by the end of the year. I've slowed down a little bit, so this is probably a little over 2 months worth of collecting. Got them from different places. ComC, a guy I know by the name of Jay, who is upgrading his set. Thanks so much, Jay, for sending along a lot of these high numbers you're going to see here anyway. And I think I got a few eBay purchases from my last eBay bucks that ended in the first quarter of 2021. So without further ado, we're going to get into card number 1 here. We've got just a couple low numbers, and then the remaining of the 10 are going to be all high numbers. So stick around for those. So normally I'd just pull up Wikipedia and look up a lot of these guys, but with 10 cards, I think that's going to get a little too long. So we're going to sort of fly through them here. We got first Joe Page of the New York Yankees. A little tough to read some of the information there. Checking out there, he was released to Kansas City in 1951, so he did not stick around with the Yankees for very long. Born in Cherry Valley, Pennsylvania in 1917. This is going to be a PSA 6. Look at the color, how beautiful this one is. Obviously off center, sort of down in the corner, left to right. But I think what also pulled it down is obviously that wax stain there on the back. Love colors like these. It's getting a lot harder to find these at a good price. Even the 51, the vintage sets have gone up in value ever since people started to get back into the hobby. And frankly, I don't really see those coming down too much overall. So let's get into card number 2. This is going to be Herman Wehmeyer from the Cincinnati Redlegs, born in 1927. There is some stats of him. I'm going to take a look at the other side. We got a PSA 4 here. Colors are not as vibrant. That is part of the plastic case that's on the outside. See how it moves with it. So that's not part of the card. Again, a little off center, like diagonally left to right. There's a sticker here too. Okay, this might have been an eBay purchase where it had a lot of identifiers on it. PSA 4, and I used to try to target these in 5 or 6 minimum, but with the prices going up, probably $5 to $10 per common when they're PSA graded. Over a 324 card set, that starts to add up. Let's put Mr. Wehmeyer out here on display for y'all. And the last of the low numbers before we get into the highs, Gene Hermansky. I believe he was for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Another PSA 4, very good to excellent. Centering, once again, not the best, a little better than the other two. Love the just the deep greens here in the background. Registration looks strong, and there's no problems on the back. Just a little bit up here in the right. Again, some of your stats for Gene here. He spent 3 years in the service. So I am recording this on Memorial Day. That's nice to see. I know a ton of these guys are in the service, and I've talked about that in prior videos when they went into World War II. But it ended about 6 years earlier in the 51 season. Gene Hermansky, PSA 4. All right, as we go through these high numbers here, I have put them in order from the worst grade all the way up to the best. Going back on it, when Jay reaches out to me and says, hey, I've got some cards I need to let go of because I've replace those with some better grades, I'm like, I just always jump at it. Sure, send me a bill, tell me what they are, I'll take them. I don't look up comps or anything because I know he's going to give them to me at a fair value. And some of those, man, I couldn't believe the grades when I realized that they were the high numbers. First up is going to be Earl Johnson. He was also in the service from 1942 to 1945 during World War II. Unfortunately, this is probably the end of his career. He got released June 11th, 1951. Was on the Detroit Tigers at the time. Card number 321. And this is going to be in a PSA 2. Now, there must be some kind of wrinkle here because this looks to me like it's better than a 2. Centering isn't great. Didn't see anything wrong on the back. I mean, you got this tiny stain right here. I'm not noticing the crease. There might be something right here, but it is definitely minor. So this is not undergraded per se. This is just PSA standards, but presents better than a 2. Color looks pretty sharp there. So that's Earl Johnson, card number 321. So if you're not familiar with the set, anything above 252 is considered a high number, the final 72 cards of the set. And they are much more valuable than the low numbers, usually about double what they are for the low numbered sets. I'm even having a hard time reading the back here of the name. It's going to be Dorish. Is that Gary, I think? Played for the Chicago White Sox, also with the Red Sox. He was with the Boston Red Sox and the Birmingham, Alabama minor league team. And this is card number 266. So right towards the bottom of the set for the high numbers. Like I said, that starts at 252. Harry Dorish, 266 in a good 2. So this paper loss here is certainly what did it and brought down the value here. Again, this issue is only on the plastic itself. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is going to be Luke Sewell. And again, we've got the wax stain. So each pack, I believe, had 5 cards in it. So every pack is going to have at least one with a major issue there on the back. He played for the Cincinnati Reds. He was born in 1901. So he was 50 here? Wait a minute. I'm confused. Luke Sewell? That's what that says. Wow. All right, we're going to take a look at this and read it. Ah, okay. He was the manager. Piloted by Luke Sewell, the Reds. He managed the Browns for 6 seasons and led them to the pennant in 1944. So I'm sure Mr. Sewell has been long gone from this earth. He would be, 120 years old right now. But he was a manager. So that's a 3. Again, these colors are so strong on these. Fairly rounded corners. You've got the slight issue up here in the right in terms of a little bend on the corner. But this is pretty well graded at a very good 3. Card number 322, almost at the end of the set for Luke Sewell. On to card number 4 of the high number set. We've had 2 2s and a 3 so far. This is going to be George Metkovich for the Pittsburgh Pirates. So his birthday is a little more on par there. He was been 30 years old in the 51 season. Also played with the Browns and the White Sox. Some great stats there. Check those out. So we've got a 4 here. The last one, like I said, was a 3. Centering, not so great on card number 274 here. Man, I've always just loved, and it really shows in the Mickey Mantle card. The drawing of the clouds in the background has always gotten me. And these artists were just so dang good at their jobs. That's what made me really fall in love with this set, is just how beautiful it is in terms of the artwork of it. George Metkovich. Bat sitting there on his shoulder, looking dapper there. Probably in a spring training game back in 1950. All right, pretty sure these last 3, we're really climbing up in grades. We have got Danny Murtaugh. Also for the Pirates, hit 294. He's got some great stats there as well. Served 2 years in the Armed Forces. Thank you for your service, Mr. Murtaugh. Born in 1917. So I'm sure he has passed away several decades ago now. and we're going to take a look at the front of that. This is going to come in at a 6. You can see it's an old flip. We're talking probably 15, 20 years ago for this. I'm okay with that. I don't have any issues with, having to upgrade these or anything. Probably going to put him out front there. You can see centering way off left to right, but that's pretty much it. The corners are rather sharp. Registration is slightly off. I've seen better, so I probably pulled it down a little bit, but we're going to start showing off some high numbers here. That's a 273 for Mr. Murtaugh. We're about to get into the final 2 cards. So yeah, as I was sorting these, like I said before, I was really surprised by these grades coming in at the high number. I didn't remember what I had purchased or what had Jay actually sent me. It's like, I've got these. I looked them up on my set registry and they weren't filled. So here they are. Eddie Pellegrini. Look how sharp those corners are. Number 292 in the 51 set. Entered the Navy. Thank you for your service, Mr. Pellegrini. 1942. Another World War II veteran. Came back to baseball in 1946 with the Red Sox. Ended up moving on to the Phillies. Look at this gorgeous high number, 292, and a near mint 7. People get upset when they get ultra modern cards back in a near mint 7. The centering might have been a little better on those cards, but they probably had some other flaw that, like edges. And the edges on these cards are, I don't know, they just are really bad. And man, the registration is perfect. The color is perfect. Look how bright green that fence is in there in the background. The red on his cap, the red on his sleeves. Everything is just in perfect balance here. What a card. All right, we got to replace here Joe Page out here. Another high number while we get into the very last one. Here we go. Now, one would argue, you'll see why, that this grade could technically be lower than that near mint 7 that we had on the last gentleman, Mr. Pellegrini. So Norman Roy, perfect back here. Some slight edge wear here on the right. Minor corner damage. We got card number 278, was a Boston Braves player. I love collecting Boston Braves stuff. Now, I'm going to eventually finish out probably the Red Sox and Braves team sets first and foremost, as I kind of drill down and target on what I want to ultimately move on to as I approach that 50% mark. He was pitching for a high school right down the street in Waltham, Massachusetts. So stayed very local for his career. Now, this is going to be an 8OC, near mint to mint, but it's got that 8, and of course, it is off-center, as you can see. Another old flip as well. So would they have graded this the same here in 2021? I don't really know, but magical deep coloring. Got that bright green in the background. Norman's perfectly painted here. That Boston Braves cap on, that classic B from those late 40s, early 50s teams. So, I mean, yeah, the card is beautiful. It just wasn't cut well by a machine way back in the day, and that's why I ended up with an 8OC. But I will continue to put 8OCs in my collection. Not a problem at all. I know in the past I've said I have a preference for centered cards, but if they are going to be this beautiful overall, then who cares, right? I don't even know how low the OCs go. Like, do they make 2 OCs? I don't really see too many of them. It's usually in the higher grades. So this technically probably would have been a 6 if the OC qualifier was not there. All right, let's recap. All right, I love just calling out the grades, so let's do those quickly. We've got an 8, a 7, a 6, another 6, and then the rest are going to be 4 and below. A 4, a 4, a 4, 3, 2, and a 2. This one is still stumping me a little bit. I'm going to check that one out later. But as always, vintage guys represent. I love each and every one of you showing off one of those beautiful, iconic sets in history. Who cares about that 1952 top set when you've got the Mantle and the Mays rookies here in this set? Oh yeah, did I mention Whitey Ford? The Ted Williams classic, iconic look of him holding that bat. There is nothing better than a 51 Bowman set, and that's why I call myself Bowman 1951. We are going to see you at the next video. Who is it? Bowman 1951 out.